Trump out there. She also called him a fascist. That's no way to break bread and make peace. Right?
Well, she said, yeah, she said that she did not disagree with his chief of staff who said that, somebody who knows him well. And again,
do you think Mayor, that Donald Trump is a fascist? Do you think he's that?
I don't think General Kelly is wrong. He knows Donald Trump much better than I do, and I would not contradict General Kelly in his assessment of his former boss.
We are in the home stretch of this election, and that means VP Harris is pulling out all the stops, including sending her surrogates all across the country. And she sent maybe her best surrogate, certainly in my opinion, Pete Buttigieg on Fox Today, to not only call out Donald Trump, not only toot the VP Harris agenda, but to shut down and shut up the lies of the MAGA Fox host interviewing him. And we are going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way. And we are so close to 50,000 subscribers, just need your support. And like I said, Pete, appearing on Fox today with an interview that started out pretty cordial and then got contentious towards the end. Now let's check that out.
All right, thank you for that, Rich. With us now is Pete Buttigieg, the former mayor in Indiana, kind enough to sort of weigh in on this race. It's always good to have you, Pete, but I wanted to get your thoughts on the nasty tone of this election. You had said not too long ago, I hope I quote you correctly, wouldn't it be nice to have a more normal political life in this country? Would any of that change no matter who wins?
Well, I think so. One of the reasons I've been struck by how many prominent Republicans are supporting Kamala Harris is it's not that they suddenly became less conservative or even that they agree with her on most issues. It's that they want us to have a more normal Republican Party again. You know, we just heard President Trump joking about shooting journalists yesterday or the other day. We heard about him. We heard him talk about aiming guns at one of his political critics. By the way, a Republican who happened to criticize him. One of the things I most respect about conservatives over the years, even though I haven't always agreed with them, is a love of freedom. And I think that love of freedom has propelled many of them to reject somebody who has made it clear that if you cross him or criticize him, whether you're a journalist, a Democrat, or even a Republican, he's coming for you, and he thinks that you're the enemy. Look, it's one thing to have all kinds of intense policy fights over fiscal policy, social policy, you name it. That's normal, that's healthy, that's part of our system. Threatening violence against political opponents is not, and we need to put that in the rearview mirror. Again, I think a lot of Republicans feel the same way. That's why we have this unbelievable spectacle right now, seeing everybody from Bernie Sanders to Dick Cheney pulling in the same direction.
You know, Mayor used to run South Bend, Indiana. Indiana, a reliably red state. News we got today is Iowa, a reliably red state, is leaning to Kamala Harris. That would be a big surprise if the poll put out there from the Des Moines Register pans out, because Donald Trump won that state big in the last two elections. What did you make of that?
It was really striking. I, of course, know Iowa well from having campaigned there, and I know the reputation of this pollster. She is the most respected pollster in Iowa, one of the most respected pollsters in the country, and by the way, correctly predicted a big Trump win in the last two elections in Iowa. So this is a very striking finding. Now, one poll is just one poll, no matter how good the pollster is. You never know for sure, but it could be an indicator that, you know, Trump really is losing some of those moderates and conservatives. And of course, we know how many women are responding very strongly to the fact that he took away their right to choose, one of the only campaign promises he actually kept. That's something that I think has made it possible. If you look at 2022, when, you know, all of the normal laws of politics would say that the president's party should have been clobbered and instead did quite well in the midterms. Those dynamics are still out there. Now, there's headwinds, too. If you look around the world, it's actually very rare for an incumbent government to succeed in an election right now. And one of the things we have right now, of course, is the vice president. She's the sitting vice president, but also represents generational change compared to Donald Trump. So it's just an unusual dynamic. It's hard to predict based on polls or models, which is why I think the most important thing is ground game. As I'm speaking to you from a field office in Jackson County, Michigan, I just spoke to an incredible number of fired up volunteers. Local party folks tell me they're not sure they've ever seen that many volunteers at a single canvas kickoff. We believe that more than anything else, more than the ads, the polls, the mailers, you name it. We believe that's going to be the key to her victory.
Women will be the key to her victory. You just mentioned, of course, on the abortion issue on X, you've written that American women will turn out to ensure Kamala Harris defeats the man who took away their right to choose. But the fact of the matter is you know very well, Mayor, it's a gender gap like the kind of that we've never seen in recent American history, where men overwhelmingly want Donald Trump and women overwhelmingly prefer her. What will close that deal?
Well, again, that gender gap partly driven, of course, by how strongly women feel about having their right to choose taken away by Donald Trump. But I do think it's important in these closing hours of the campaign for us to message to men as well, not just that men should care about women's rights just as much as women do, but also that men should care about her pro-family policies, the child tax credit, and making sure that we have a more affordable way of raising kids in this country with things like paid parental leave, which would apply to men as well as to women, but also just core economic issues. A lot of men are, of course, union construction workers. They've noticed that we are experiencing record high in factory construction now. If you go look it up online right now, the chart is off the charts, so to speak, in terms of the boom we're seeing right now in factory construction, the jobs that's creating for men and women and children, living from the prosperity created by workers in that manufacturing boom compared to the manufacturing recession we had under Donald Trump. Those are the kinds of things I think we need to make sure that we're messaging to men and women alike.
You have reached and reach out to Republican voters and conservatives. You've been in Midland, Texas. That is not generally seen as a blue wall bastion. You've even reached out to a number of other conservatives. When Elon Musk was critical of you, you personally called him. He was impressed by that. I don't want to get into the details. But you've done this a number of times. Unfortunately, Kamala Harris has not, Mayor. And I don't know what the final results will be. But do you think that's something she'll regret, that she has not done enough of that?
I'm not sure I can agree with the premise of that question. I mean, she pledged to include Republicans in her cabinet. I'm not sure I've ever seen a Democratic candidate do that. She has invited prominent Republican elected officials to campaign with her on the trail. I don't think you see that a lot.
But she also called him a fascist, right? She also called him a fascist. That's no way to break bread and make peace. Right?
Well, she said, she said that she did not disagree with his chief of staff, who said that, somebody who knows him well. And again,
do you think, Mayor, that Donald Trump is a fascist? Do you think he's that?
I don't think General Kelly is wrong. He knows Donald Trump much better than I do, and I would not contradict General Kelly in his assessment of his former boss. Look, we've never seen a president have his own chief of staff or his own vice president not support him. And by the same token, we've never seen a Democrat have that many Republicans who do support her. But I think the most important thing is the difference in the closing message between him talking about turning guns on people who disagree with him and her saying that if you're a Republican, you will have a seat at the table in my administration.
All right. Now, he specifically did not say turning guns on people who disagree, but I did want to get your final take on the tone and tenor, because for all the awful things you just mentioned about Donald Trump, these polls are still dead even. Do you then think half the Americans who seem to prefer him over Kamala Harris are clueless?
What I believe is that many people gather their information from different sources, and we need to reach across some of those divisions, which is exactly why I try to speak to conservative media and appear in conservative areas. Now, it's worth noting that Donald Trump has never won a majority of the American people, not in the election he won or in the election that he lost. I think that that's likely almost certain to be the case now, but just because you win in our system such as it is, even if most Americans don't choose you, you still could win in the Electoral College, which is why we need to make sure that we win according to the rules of the game, the way the Electoral College is set up. And the other thing that I think is important is that whether you vote for her or not, she will be a president for everybody. You know, just as in the Biden-Harris administration, you've seen so many benefits in terms of job creation, factory construction, and infrastructure improvements actually happening in rural areas, red areas, conservative areas. She wants to be a president for everybody.
No one does it better than Pete Buttigieg. I love the way he perfectly articulates not only the VP Harris agenda and how she is fighting for you, but the ways that Donald Trump is always and constantly focused on himself. And you saw there him shutting down and shutting up Neo Cavuto just a little bit, cleaning up those lies that MAGA is always pushing. But he was not the only one doing so today, because like I said, VP Harris sending out her surrogates all over the place, and that includes President Obama, who delivered an incredible speech today. And I want to take a look at a clip from that.
And for those of you who, even after they hear that, are still undecided, let me tell you what else matters. Values matter. Character matters. A president makes a million decisions. And most of the time, they're judgment calls. The easy decisions, the obvious decisions get made by somebody else. The hard ones are what gets to the president's desk. And you can't anticipate every issue that's going to come down the pipe. And so it's really important. Does that person have a moral compass? Do they have some integrity? Are they focused on doing what's right by the American people? Values matter. Some of you know that when I was growing up, I didn't have a father in the house, but I did have people around me. Stepfather, grandparents, teachers, coaches, most of all my mom, who taught me the difference between right and wrong. Who showed me what it meant to have integrity, to be honest, to be responsible, to work hard, to treat other people the way I wanted to be treated. Now, there were times where I did not perfectly live up to those values, especially when I was a teenager. But as I got older, I internalized those values. I tried to live up to them. Not perfectly, but I knew they were important, and I wanted to be that person. And I suspect most of you grew up the same way. And one of the most disturbing things about this election, not just this election, but Trump's entire rise in politics, you can see it just pervading our political culture, is how we seem to have just set aside those values that we were taught.
Pete Buttigieg, President Obama, two of the best. We saw Michelle Obama out on the campaign trail yesterday. VP Harris is closing so strong, not just her circuits, of course her as well, and we are going to keep following that and talking about it every single day, hour and second up till the end of this election and after. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video, and if you're stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments, and if you have already voted early for VP Harris, you can see I got my I voted sticker on because I voted today. Let us know in the comments, and until next time, I'll see you soon.